The charter school movement in California is growing at a rapid pace. There are more than 900 charters in California, serving more than 365,000 students. But what is a charter school? Charter schools are innovative public schools designed by educators, parents, or civic leaders. They cut through the red tape that binds conventional public schools. In exchange for that freedom, charters are held accountable by their authorizing body, usually a school board, the County Office of Education, or the State Board of Education, and by the parents who choose to send their children to those schools. Charter schools are tuition-free public schools that are open to all who want to enroll. They cannot discriminate based on disability, national origin, age, or gender. Charter schools expand options for parents, students, teachers, and administrators through their unique focus, curriculum, structure, size, environment, and other features that put the needs of students first. They're places where adults work together to build a professional culture, places where teachers and parents have a strong voice in school decisions. To find out more about charter schools or to find a school near you, visit calcharters.org.
Our project focused on charter schools and the impacts that they have on society. We interviewed the current supervisor, Julia Plasencia, at California Charter Schools Association in downtown LA and had her intake on some issues that arise when we use the term charter schools.
So charter schools are funded by the state and federal governments. Just like a traditional public school, charter schools receive funding from their state as well as their local property taxes. And they also receive federal monies for things like what's called Title I, which is basically funds for targeted students like those that are low income or English language learners, for example. So basically there's three pots of money for charter schools, the same three pots of money that are afforded to traditional public schools.
According to the U.S. News, there are now more than 6,400 charter schools in 42 states and the District of Columbia. Independently run by publicity finance, charters are still a small percentage of the nation's nearly 100,000 public schools, but they are popular. Americans are twice as likely to hold a favorable view of charter schools as not, even though their performance varies widely.
So actually what very few people know is that charters are public schools, just like traditional public schools. They're both public schools. And so it's not that they're more expensive because the families aren't paying out of pocket. Essentially what happens is that in the state of California, there's what they call money that's given to every student to pay for their education, basically. So for example, I think in California it might be 7,000. Don't quote me on this, but it's around 7,000 to 10,000 per student, right? And so depending on where the student goes, whether it's a traditional public school or a charter public school, that money follows the student. And so there's a misconception somehow that charter schools are charging for their services when they're not. They're public schools and they're funded by the state of California.
Other than the CCSA helping out kids by putting them into the charter school program, they also have what's considered the Cali program, which is, according to the California Charter Schools Association, defined as the California Alumni Leader Institute, and it's a program in which they select charter school alumni and they have them volunteer to go to other schools up north towards the Bay Area and everywhere and pretty much recruit fellow kids that they feel would be right for the other charter schools.
So part of what the Cali program is a student organizing project here in LA where we basically organize students, one, to advocate and defend charter schools, and two, also to reach out to the charter high schools and give them college readiness like prep. So for example, in the fall, we'll have a college readiness family assembly where we bring the whole family, right? Because we believe that, when a student goes to college, especially in our communities, it's not just the student who's going, it's the whole family. So we try to involve the whole family in the process. and help them like with their college application, financial aid. And then in the spring, once they start getting accepted to colleges, we do college visit days. So we had one, for example, Cal State LA, we had another at UCLA, where we invite those students who are at the college readiness faculty assembly, and we invite them to the campuses, and the Calis themselves, give the tour on campus.
According to California Charter Schools Association, studies continue to show that charter school students make greater academic progress than students in traditional public schools. 67% of California's charter schools met student achievement targets on state tests in the 2009-2010 school year, compared to just 57% of non-charter schools.
Is that a traditional public school is run directly by the district, where a charter school has its own board of directors, and it's authorized by the district. So when I say authorized, I mean the district gives it permission to operate on its capacity, right? But they're both public schools, meaning the money comes from public education funds.
Why do you think there's so much, not necessarily hatred, but such a downforce on charter schools? Why is it that there's more emphasis on like regular public schools compared to just charter schools?
I think there's a number of reasons. I think one, it's just really hard to change institutions. People, we've been doing this the way we've been doing this for this long, and it's comfortable, it's convenient. I think another reason is because, it's sort of shaking up the system a bit. And so, there's some people who argue that charter schools take money from the district, right? And because the district has less money to operate traditional public schools, but what we argue is that the money belongs to the student, not the district.
Barack Obama agrees that charter schools should be funded specifically. He states that these institutions give educators the freedom to cultivate new teaching models and develop creative methods to meet student needs.
If you still don't think charter schools are effective, imagine a student who only knows of traditional public schools all through grade school and sees his future belonging to the streets. The student then takes it upon his own interest to sign himself up to a charter high school to save his academic career. 2 years down the line, he ends up getting accepted to Cal State LA. And that student is me, Chris Falcon.